this morning. A UK-based not-for-profit organisation has confirmed to Good Morning Britain that 2 British aid workers have been captured by Russian forces in Ukraine. Presidium Network says the 2 men who were working as independent volunteers were captured on Monday at a checkpoint south of the city of Zaporizhia. International Trade Secretary Emery Trevelyan joins us now. Good morning to you. Obviously, we're just hearing some details over this and what we think has happened here. Do you know any more at this stage as to what's happened here?
No, I'm afraid I don't, but I know that the Foreign Office will be working very closely with both the authorities and indeed families as they identify more to understand and support them. And I know that that will be ongoing at pace in the days ahead as that information comes through. Okay, it's a tragic story, and our hearts go out to the families involved.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really worrying situation, isn't it? Particularly, they're aid workers, they're out there obviously trying to help people. So many lives are being lost in Ukraine. We've also had the news of the first British confirmed death, Scott Sibley, a former British serviceman who was killed by Russian bombardment while fighting out there as well. And it seems that more and more we're being drawn into this conflict.
So, well, we have, stood up, and the Prime Minister has given real world leadership to say we will stand alongside Ukraine and do all that we can to help them in their fight to drive Putin out. His illegal invasion of Ukraine continues to be completely outrageous, and the UK, the US, the EU and partners and allies around the world are working to do all we can to support the Ukrainians as they, in the most incredibly brave way, stand up to and defend their country, their communities, and the freedom that they talk so proudly of. They have been a free and democratic nation for a number of decades now, and they want to maintain that. They value that freedom and democracy, and that's what they're fighting for.
And the EU, the allies, the NATO have put in the UN have put in a series of sanctions to try and push Russia to change their approach to this war. But we understand that Germany and Hungary are trying to find ways to get round those sanctions so they can maintain the gas flow to their countries that comes from Russia. There's a real concern here, isn't there, if 2 countries like Germany and Hungary, or whether they're private companies within those countries, are trying to find their way around those sanctions in order to maintain that gas flow, that undermines the West's strength with regards to being together against Russia. What's your understanding of the situation with that?
So I don't have details of that particular situation, but we have led and we have brought in both sanctions on individuals, oligarchs, also trade sanctions, tariff increases, and so on. We've been working as closely as we can with the US and the EU to make sure that we reduce the ability of Russia to be able to continue to finance Putin's illegal war through his energy sales. But of course, it's very difficult. Every country has a different relationship with Russia. So I've brought in lots of, goods bans and tariff increases, which of course has an effect on British businesses. But we are not really connected in any meaningful way with Russian oil and gas. For Germans, of course, this is a very different relationship, and one that they are looking to find ways to come away from that. But they, of course, have to make a decision within their own national borders of how they manage that. We have brought forward, the Prime Minister published just a couple of weeks ago, an energy security strategy here, so that we are pushing forwards as quickly as we can to come away from dependency on oil and Russian gas, and to think about how we can help our European neighbours through the move to renewables and clean energies and alternate sources of gas in the short and medium term, so that they can stop using Russian oil and gas.
I just want to pick up as well on this point about us sending in these 8,000 troops training exercises in Eastern Europe, because, obviously it's a show of force. We know it's been long planned, but the timing of it is going to be seen as being particularly provocative, isn't it? Are we worried about the consequences of this, about what it could provoke President Putin into doing?
So, as you say, military exercises, NATO exercises are normal. That's how our soldiers maintain their readiness and knowledge and a relationship with other militaries. And earlier in the year, Operation Cold Response, which is a naval exercise which happens every winter, took place. We will be sending 8,000 troops, British Army soldiers, to work with NATO allies and Joint Expeditionary Force allies over the course of this exercise to do what our soldiers do, is to train, to be prepared. NATO is a defensive alliance. It is there to defend and protect all its members, and to be able to make sure that if we needed to do that, if there was any invasion of a NATO country, our soldiers need to be prepared and fully trained and ready to go. So we are so proud, always so proud of all those who join our armed forces and are willing to put themselves in harm's way. This will be a big exercise, one where we will be testing our skills, sharing them and working in concert with our other NATO militaries. And I'm sure it will be a very successful exercise, and remembering and reminding those who would wish us harm that NATO is a defensive alliance, is there to protect our citizens and to protect freedom.
So real pride there, and rightly so. It seems like we have far less pride in the behaviour of what's happening in the House of Commons. There's been some extraordinary revelations this week, and as we've been speaking to MPs that have been coming on the show from both sides of the House, they've talked about cultures of bullying, cultures of misogyny and cultures of sexual misconduct. We know that there's 56 cases, aren't there, being investigated now, various misconduct charges on all sides of the House. Can I ask you what your personal experience of sexual misconduct is? I understand that you've described an occasion where an MP pinned you up against the wall.
That was quite a long time ago now, before I was an MP, when I was a volunteer working and trying to support, party progress. But there has been, since I've been an MP, a few male MPs who have thought they were entitled to make advances. Let's go with that. I'm a very robust person, and I, as you know, say it like I see it. But what we need to make sure, and we have had real progress, as you say, there are a number of cases being investigated. That at least means that we have a system now which works and which more and more people are able to report in. But the point is, they shouldn't be having to do that. This should not be there.
And Emery Trevelyan, you are, as you say, a robust character. There will be other people working in Parliament and working in government that aren't as robust as you. What did you do at the time? Was any charges brought against the people, the perpetrators of the misconduct, the sexual misconduct that you were...
So no, because it was before there was a good framework in place to deal with that. A more recent one, I reported to the whips, and they were suitably chastising. But actually, we have a much more robust system in place. But what I would say is to all those young men and women who are in a differential power relationship with these, I think, few men, but there shouldn't be any, who think it's okay to abuse their position and their power. Please come and talk to those of us who are, able to both support you and, stand right by your side as you report them. It's terribly important that we do that, because only in bringing forward these cases and the appropriate punishments being delivered by the authorities will it become clear to those who think who think they cannot behave in an appropriate way. It's not okay. It's not okay in Parliament. It's not okay in any workplace. It's not okay in a pub. It's not okay ever for anyone to abuse their power and to step beyond the lines of a decent work environment. So we must all continue to be vigilant and to support those who are brave enough to stand up to these men who think it's okay to push their luck.
I'm going to leave it there, I'm afraid. But I mean, it's staggering that it seems to be disproportionately a larger number of it happening in Parliament. But obviously investigations are underway, aren't they? Anne-Marie Trevelyan, thanks very much for joining us this morning.